I was loading groceries from my car when my 14-year-old son, Miles, came running from our backyard screaming that a man claiming to be a police officer had just put handcuffs on him and was dragging him toward a truck in our driveway. My name is Tristan Coleman, and I am a 43-year-old insurance claims investigator working for a major insurance company in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I have spent the past 18 years investigating fraud claims, interviewing witnesses, and documenting evidence for cases involving property damage, personal injury, and suspicious circumstances that required attention to detail and systematic fact-finding. My job had taught me to remain calm under pressure, document everything carefully, and recognize when situations did not match the official story being presented. But none of that. Professional training mattered when I heard my teenage son screaming that someone had handcuffed him. I dropped the grocery bags and ran toward the sound of his voice, my heart pounding with a parent's terror that overrode every rational thought, because nothing in my 18 years of investigating insurance claims had prepared me for seeing my son with his hands cuffed, behind his back being physically controlled by a stranger in a black sleeveless tactical jacket who claimed to be law enforcement. I came around the corner of my house to find Miles, his face showing terror and confusion with his wrists secured behind him in metal handcuffs while a heavy-set man with gray hair gripped his arm and walked him toward a dark pickup truck. A second man in similar tactical gear stood near the truck holding a clipboard. "Let go of my son right now," I shouted, running toward them. "Take those handcuffs off him." The man holding Miles turned toward me, his expression showing authority he clearly believed he possessed. "Sir, step back. I am Officer Cornelius Briggs with Riverside Meadows HOA Law Enforcement Division. Your son was caught vandalizing HOA property with spray paint. He is being detained for property damage and will be transported to juvenile detention for processing." Every word was designed to sound official and create the impression that this was legitimate police action. But several things were immediately and terribly wrong. First, no HOA has law enforcement authority to detain or handcuff anyone, especially minors. Second, legitimate police always identify themselves properly and call parents before detaining juveniles. Third, my son did not vandalize anything, and this man had handcuffed a 14-year-old without any legal authority. "You are not a police officer," I said, my voice shaking with rage and fear. "Take the handcuffs off my son immediately, or I am calling real police." The second man, younger with a shaved head, stepped forward holding his clipboard aggressively. "Sir, I am Officer Pivel Holden. We are authorized HOA law enforcement. Your son committed property damage by spray painting, profanity on the community fence. He is being arrested and transported for processing. If you interfere with this arrest, you will also be detained for obstruction." Miles was crying now, terrified and confused. "Dad, I did not spray paint anything. I was just shooting basketball in the backyard." And he came up and grabbed me and put handcuffs on me. I pulled out my phone and called 911 while keeping my eyes on the man holding my handcuffed son. "This is Tristan Coleman at 3842 Maple Drive. A man claiming to be HOA law enforcement has handcuffed my 14-year-old son and is trying to put him in a truck. I need police immediately. My son is being kidnapped." The 911 dispatcher's voice became urgent. "Sir, someone has handcuffed your child." "Is the person claiming to be a police officer?" "Yes, he is claiming to be HOA law enforcement, but he is not real police. He has my son in handcuffs and is trying to force him into a vehicle." "Sir, stay on the line. Units are responding code 3. Do not let them leave with your son." I stepped between Cornelius and the truck. "You are not taking my son anywhere." "Real police are coming. You can explain to them why you handcuffed a child without authority." Cornelius's grip on Miles tightened. "Sir, move aside or you will be arrested for interfering with an officer in the performance of his duties." "You are not an officer," I said. "You are a criminal who handcuffed my child. And when real police arrive, you are going to prison." What happened next escalated beyond anything I could have anticipated. Within 4 minutes, the sound of sirens exploded from all directions, not just patrol units, but tactical vehicles. The dispatcher had flagged this as high priority, a possible kidnapping of a minor by someone claiming police authority. 6 patrol units arrived simultaneously. Officers emerged with weapons drawn, moving with precision. Then a tactical vehicle arrived, and 8 SWAT officers in full gear deployed, taking positions around my property. Individual with the juvenile in handcuffs Release the child immediately and show your hands. Do not move. You are surrounded! Commander Hoffman's voice came through a loudspeaker. Cornelius and Pearl froze. They clearly had not expected a SWAT response. Cornelius still had Miles in his grip. Release the child now, Commander Hoffman repeated. Cornelius finally let go. Miles ran straight to me, sobbing. I pulled him close as SWAT officers moved in with tactical precision, taking both Cornelius and Pearl to the ground and securing them within seconds. One officer examined the handcuffs on Miles and quickly removed them with a key. Commander Hoffman approached me. Mr. Coleman, your son is safe. Are either of you injured? We are not injured, but he handcuffed my son, I said, voice shaking with adrenaline and relief. He claimed to be HOA law enforcement and was trying to force Miles into that truck. Hoffman's expression hardened. Someone impersonated a police officer, unlawfully restrained your child with handcuffs, and attempted to transport him against his will. That is kidnapping, false imprisonment of a minor, impersonating an officer, and child endangerment. Very serious felonies. Detective Beatrice Wolfe arrived and took detailed statements. Miles explained through tears that he had been shooting basketball when Cornelius grabbed him, handcuffed him despite his protests, and was walking him to the truck when I arrived. Detective Wolfe examined the handcuffs, which were real police-style metal restraints. Mr. Coleman, these are actual handcuffs. Where did you get these? She asked Cornelius. Cornelius tried to minimize. We are HOA enforcement, with authority to detain individuals for property violations. The juvenile committed vandalism. No HOA has law enforcement authority, Wolfe said coldly. You handcuffed a child without legal justification, claimed police authority, and attempted to transport him. That is kidnapping, impersonation, and child endangerment. The investigation revealed Cornelius and Pearl had been running a fake HOA enforcement operation. They had never physically restrained anyone before. The handcuffs, tactical gear, and fake credentials were intended to intimidate and create the illusion of authority. But handcuffing a 14-year-old and attempting to transport him crossed into felony kidnapping, prosecuting aggressively. SWAT's response had been entirely appropriate. Given the 911 call describing someone impersonating police and holding a handcuffed juvenile, the case became a major prosecution priority. Kidnapping a minor carries severe penalties in Oklahoma. Adding false imprisonment, impersonating an officer, and child endangerment made this a career-ending case for both suspects. The district attorney personally met with our family. Mr. Coleman, what happened to your son was kidnapping. Under Oklahoma law, unlawfully restraining and attempting to transport a minor constitutes kidnapping. The handcuffs made it false imprisonment. The fake police authority makes it impersonation. 6 months later, the trial began. Miles took the stand first, recounting the terror he had felt as a stranger handcuffed him and tried to force him into a truck. His voice trembled, but he spoke every detail clearly. The backyard, the black tactical vests, the cold metal cuffs, and the lies of Cornelius and Pearl. I testified next, describing the moment I ran toward them, the shock of seeing my child restrained, and the adrenaline-fueled 911 call that had triggered the SWAT response. I explained how Cornelius claimed fake authority and how this was not just intimidation. It was kidnapping. SWAT Commander Hoffman testified about the tactical response. He explained why the situation was treated as an active child, kidnapping, and why overwhelming force was necessary to ensure Miles' safety. The prosecution displayed the handcuffs, fake badges, and tactical gear, presenting them as tangible evidence of premeditated criminal behavior. Child psychologists testified about the trauma a minor suffers when restrained by strangers, especially those claiming legal authority. The defense argued Cornelius believed he had HOA authority and had no intent to commit kidnapping. But the evidence was overwhelming. He had purchased real handcuffs, restrained a minor, and attempted to transport him. His intent could not be denied. The jury deliberated for only 2 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts, including kidnapping of a minor, false imprisonment, impersonating a peace officer, and child endangerment. Cornelius received 23 years in state prison. Pearl, his accomplice, was sentenced to 17 years. Both were required to register as felons and faced lifetime restrictions. 3 months after the trial, Miles and I were back in our backyard shooting basketball, the same place where he had been grabbed. Dad, he said quietly, when that man put handcuffs on me, I was so scared. I thought I was really being arrested. You were being kidnapped, I said. He had no authority to touch you. The handcuffs, the fake police claims, trying to force you into a truck, that was kidnapping. That is why SWAT came. They treated it as what it was, a child being taken by someone claiming false authority. Miles nodded. They surrounded everything so fast. The 911 dispatcher heard someone claiming to be police had handcuffed a 14-year-old and was putting him in a vehicle. That's why everyone came. I explained. He's in prison for 23 years. He will never get to terrorize another child. What he did was one of the most serious crimes someone can commit, taking a child, restraining them, and claiming false authority. The law takes that very seriously, children. Lesson for viewers. If your child or any minor is ever handcuffed, restrained, or threatened with detention by anyone claiming authority who is not clearly legitimate law enforcement, call 911 immediately and report it as a kidnapping in progress. Police respond with maximum force to protect children. Document everything. Pursue maximum prosecution for anyone who harms a minor. Remember, no HOA representative has authority to handcuff, detain, or transport anyone, especially. Miles and I continued shooting basketball, the sun setting behind our backyard fence. It was quiet now. The kind of quiet that comes after surviving something that could have been a nightmare. He looked at me, still processing. Dad, it felt so real. I thought I was actually being arrested. I thought I might never see you again. I held him close. No one has the right to take you without legal authority. That is why the law reacted the way it did. That's why SWAT came. That's why the handcuffs, the fake badges, and the truck mattered so much. Because your safety is the law's highest priority. The story of Cornelius and Pearl spread quickly. They had crossed every line: impersonation, false authority, child restraint, attempted transport. Oklahoma law treats these crimes with extreme severity. Kidnapping a minor is one of the most serious felonies, and rightly so. I turned to Miles. Remember this: if anyone ever threatens, restrains, or claims authority over you in a way that doesn't feel right, call 911 immediately. Never doubt your instincts. Never comply with someone pretending to have power they do not have. Miles nodded, the basketball bouncing softly on the concrete. I'll never forget. Dad. And now I know what real law enforcement is willing to do to protect children like me. The SWAT officers, detectives, and prosecutors did their job perfectly. Cornelius received 23 years in prison. Pearl got 17. Both will be monitored for life. Justice was served, but the lesson remained clear. Any attempt to restrain or kidnap a child is taken with maximum seriousness. For anyone watching this, let this story be a warning. No HOA representative can handcuff, detain, or transport a minor. Any unauthorized restraint is kidnapping. Police respond with overwhelming force to protect children. Document everything and pursue prosecution for maximum accountability. Miles smiled faintly as we picked up the basketball. Dad, we're safe. And he'll never terrorize another child. Yes, I said. And that is why it's so important to know your rights and to protect your family. Share your experiences in the comments. Hit subscribe for more stories about protecting children from criminals impersonating authority. And remember, vigilance saves lives. I have small requests. Please subscribe and like.